A dredging project near Samsons Island brings many voices to Town Hall. Details from Wednesday night's Conservation Commission hearing on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, January 9th, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin. Three Bays Preservation and the Mass Audubon Society are proposing a barrier beach management plan for Dead Neck. Last night, the plan was before the Conservation Commission. That meeting began in the Selectmen's conference room, but ended up in the hearing room due to the large amount of concerned citizens that turned up to hear about and speak about proposed dredging at Samsons Island. Lindsay Council of Three Bays Preservation outlined a portion of the plan.
The area that will be dredged is this end of Samsons Island. And also entailed in that part of the program is the renourishment of the easterly portion of Dead Neck in that area. That's an activity that we had done before with other channel material. But we felt it was important to add to this project what we're calling is the management plan, where we are proposing several other activities in the island. One of which is the establishment of some enhanced habitat areas, which are these yellow hashed areas here, where we'd be creating more suitable habitat for nesting shorebirds. Another activity in the area, there's some phragmite that's just starting to come on the island. We think we should control that and get ahead of it. Another area in here is some tree areas where we would be some selective pruning of trees, where the predators, crows and the like, sit on those trees and come down on the nesting shorebirds. So this would be the area of selective pruning. In this area, what we'd like to do is recreate some beach that would be lost off the tip, put some sand on this area, and actually nourish the beach. If you go out there today, you'll see there's quite a bit of erosion in that area. Cedar trees falling into the water, and there's just a berm there, a scarp area, and it's not the best desirable beach. And then another area in here, this is an area that would be used for more vegetation removal. There's quite a bit of Rosa rugosa in there. So what we're proposing is a comprehensive plan. It includes all of these items, and we'd like to get it under one order of conditions.
Catherine Parsons of Mass Audubon has more.
The dredging and renourishment project will aid in bird conservation efforts that we have in a number of ways. We believe that by protecting the integrity of the island, we'll actually be saving bird habitat. By restoring bird habitat, we'll be doing that through renourishment of beaches and widening of beaches. And then we'll be improving bird habitat by some of the management activities that we've proposed. In a little bit more detail, maintaining the island. We're very concerned about maintaining the island as an island because that provides critical and rare habitat for ground nesting birds. We want to renourish the beaches in order to create and restore habitat for plovers and terns. We need to do some vegetation management on the island in order to create the optimal nesting habitat for the birds, which is sparsely vegetated beach areas. Also, some selective tree removal in order to remove opportunities for perching avian predators. And then also in the application, we are proposing disturbance and predator management as well. Our overall goal is to improve habitat for vulnerable coastal birds, and we're also very interested and intent on improving reproductive success of the birds nesting on the island. And our reason for having this this focus is because of the way the property has come to our two organizations. Samsons Island was given to Mass Audubon as a tern sanctuary. Dead Neck is under a conservation restriction as a bird sanctuary and for the protection of natural systems out there. So we feel not only that it's part of our organization's missions to do this, but also because of the direct intent of the property coming to us. According to Coastal Processes information and data that we have within the project, we anticipate if the island breaches that we will lose all of Samsons Island and Dead Neck will attach to oyster harbors. So protecting the integrity of the island is critical to maintaining it as an island. Aerials to show the effect that placing sand at the Dead Neck end of the island can have on widening the beach all along the Nantucket Sound side of the island. In 2000, 2 years post-nourishment, you can see that nesting has been concentrated or was concentrated at the west and east ends of the island, but with the transport of sand down the shoreline and widening the beach, we were able to make room for another 10 plus pairs, Ellen will have the numbers, of birds during 2006.
Many residents rose to the podium to raise concerns and also to show support.
If the sediment from this project, like sediment from other projects, are going to bring...
You'll have to speak into the microphone, sir.
Are going to bring this type of slime to the bottom everywhere, because where I'm working now, next to Katuitt dock, there's a small dredging that's going on there for a short time. And this is what is clogging the bottom now. And it's difficult to work in the area, and I can't imagine that this heavy and thick slime is letting any oxygen through to the shellfish. And of course, I've noticed that there hasn't been much concern about the shellfish. On the inside, where they want to build up on the inside of the neck, is places where there's steamers.
Just about the same presentation, and it was the sense of the board of the Katuitt Civic Association that we approved this application for dredging.
Katuitt Bay is a beautiful place. All three bays, one of the most beautiful places in the world as far as I'm concerned. And I think we have to be really careful about dredging to this extent. I think we want to nourish and maintain the island, take care of the birds, keep it a protective barrier island for the mainland and for the harbor. I just think we really need to look at what the best way to do it is, not the fastest way.
Attorney Eliza Cox, representing several landowners that might be affected by the project, also raised some concerns.
We've reviewed the notice of intent and suggest that additional information and or clarifications are needed before my clients or you can fully assess the impacts of this project under the Wetlands Protection Act and our ordinance. And in particular, and as is detailed in more detail in my memorandum, wanted to focus in two areas. The first one is jurisdiction, and this is something that hasn't come up yet this evening, and whether in fact this project is properly before you tonight. In the notice of intent, the applicants acknowledge that this project exceeds the EIR, the Environmental Impact Report thresholds under MEPA, and that a state permit, a Chapter 91 license, is required. However, they attempt to classify the project as routine maintenance, as that term is defined under the MEPA regulations, in order to avoid MEPA review. And according to the NOI, that decision as to whether or not this project is in fact routine maintenance has not yet been decided by the MEPA office, but is proposed to be deferred until after you all make your decision. And while that type of deferment may be permissible under the Wetlands Protection Act, I suggest to you it raises questions under the Cape Cod Commission Act, to which this town and you all as a permitting authority are subject. If you look at the Cape Cod Commission regulations, it says that any project that triggers an EIR, Environmental Impact Report, is an automatic DRI under the Commission regulations. And that when a town receives a project that triggers DRI review, before the town can issue any permits, they have to refer the project to the Cape Cod Commission, and only after the Cape Cod Commission can the project come back to the town for local development permits. So I would suggest to you the issue as to whether or not an EIR is triggered under MEPA is something that needs to be decided, determined to your satisfaction before, and the town's satisfaction, before you can act on this notice of intent and order of conditions. The second aspect that we would like to raise for additional clarification has been suggested tonight, and that is we believe there's missing information in terms of the coastal processes, assessment, and understanding the impacts of this project on the Katuitt shoreline.
And instead of responding to everyone's comments at once, council said he'd need time to digest, but would respond to all.
No, I would agree. We have a lot to consider here, varied comments and input, and some written material we haven't even seen. So I think it would be best to review the tape when we get it and answer the questions individually.
That public hearing will continue on March 19th. You can view the entire hearing online at town.barnstable.ma.us. The presentation begins about an hour and a half into the meeting. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.